safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal...
Good afternoon, everybody. On that termite mound this morning, Sandile, a 2-year-old male leopard. We're hopefully going to find him on this, your sunset safari on Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Oops. Now, everybody, we've come into this area because this is where he was this morning. Young Cinderlai, well, for many of us, our favourite, if not almost favourite leopard from the area. And he was sitting on this termite mound, then he moved off down, sort of into the bush there. These are where the tracks go. So we're going to see if we can't pick him up again around this area sometime this afternoon. A very special treat on the other vehicle today. Tristen has come across from Simbambalai to do a drive here, so it'll be lovely to talk to him. You can ask him all the questions you've ever wanted to about the Anderson male, Salayeshe, and all that stuff that goes on there, because he will be intimately involved with all of that. So that's very good. And if you want to talk to him, or indeed to me, hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter, or questions at WildEarthTV if you're on the email. In the final control, Louise on this Sunday afternoon, and she's being ably assisted by Gerald the cheesecake giraffe Kent. Brian is on camera. Brian, talk us through the thumb today.
It's a drooping flower thumb.
A drooping, wilting flower thumb.
Yes.
Is that because it is so dry, Brian?
No.
Oh, why is it wilting?
I'm feeling a little bit under the weather.
Oh, Brian is feeling wilted, everybody, like a precious spring flower that has not had sufficient rest or water. I'm sorry about that, Brian.
Okay.
Oh. Right, let's carry on, see if we can't find Sindili. To confess that this doesn't look entirely familiar from this morning, but must be, because my tracks are all over the place. So we'll ease our way through here, and what we need to look for is he was definitely on the hunt this morning. So what we need to look out for is possibly a carcass hanging in a tree. That is entirely possible. He could be draped across one of these termite mounds. That's where I'm expecting to find him if he doesn't have a kill with him. But he was heading in this general direction, and we're still on the tracks from where we came this morning. So I'm not sure. This was the termite mound on which we left him finally. We might be lucky, we might not. There will be a bit of noise. It is a very impenetrable strychnos thicket, this. But that's okay. We'll get through it, won't we, Brian? Yes. Stoically. Yes. Every termite mound, he's much like his mother, of course. He likes a good termite mound to sit on. Don't we all? Now, while we bash through here, let's head across to Tristen, say hello to him, be very nice to him, please, everybody. He didn't look too nervous, which I think is excellent, so go and ask him some questions, and hopefully I will see you later with Sandile.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Tristen, and I'm very, very excited to be here to take you guys on an afternoon game drive as part of an interview process. Now, I'm sitting here and you might be wondering why there's a tree all over me. Now, this particular little branch is called a leadwood, and this leadwood brought along because they believe in this area that this little branch signifies the start of new friendships when worn in a pocket. And so this is the idea, is that we are going to start a new friendship by me being on the game drive today. The other reason why I have it is because while being at final control today, I have noticed quite a lot of coughing and spluttering going on, and varying members of the Wild Earth team that are not doing so well. So they believe that if you burn this and you inhale the smoke that comes off it, that it is a good ailment or a good way of fixing the coughing ailment. So I shall take this back later for Jamie to throw on the Fireside chat and let her have a little sniff of that to try and get that coughing sorted. Now, We are in this area over here. We are in search of the Nkuhuma pride of lions. So we are busy having a look around, trying to see if we can find out if they've maybe lay up somewhere in the shade, being that it's quite a warm afternoon. It's about 29 degrees, and there's a little cool breeze blowing. I would imagine that they've gone and found some nice shade. So we're busy looking around. Hopefully we will come right and be able to find something in the little shady areas around here. Sorry, Lee, can you just repeat that? To all those viewers that have given me a shout out and welcomed me, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm even more excited because if I have a look over my right shoulder here, there lying in front of us is the Nkuhuma pride. It even looks like there are some of the Birmingham males here with them. I'm so excited. I've been dying to catch up with these little babies. I come from an area that borders Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we are currently based, and this little Nkuhuma pride often comes across into our area, and for the last few weeks, since they've had the little cubs, we haven't had a chance to get to see them. So I'm incredibly excited to be here and to be able to have my first real glimpse of these little guys. As we were saying just now, you can see that they're all very much relaxed and trying to find some nice shade to be able to wait out the hot part of the day before they'll start to get a little bit active later. There's a little one that's just stood up, coming to have a little look as to see what's going on. First a little itch on the leg there. And isn't that the cutest thing you've ever seen? I'm so excited to see these guys. They are incredibly beautiful little cubs. The area that we've been driving in, we've been seeing the sticks, which some of you may be aware of, are not looking in the greatest condition. So these guys look absolutely incredible. It's very fluffy and super cute. Oh, big yawn now. I'm going to go over and start pestering some of the others. What I might do is just reposition ourselves slightly so we don't have all these branches in the way. So let's just move a little bit quickly. So we're just going to try and edge forward and not disturb them here. So we have a question from Raccoon Pet. She would like to know what is my background. Well, I was born in Johannesburg, here in South Africa, and I lived most of my youth in the city of Johannesburg. I then went to university, also in Johannesburg, and then from there went to go and coach cricket, funny enough, of all things, in Kenya, where I got involved with a wildlife rehabilitation centre, particularly elephants. From there, it was then into the Sabi Sands, and from the Sabi Sands, I've pretty much stayed here the last 7 years. So it has been a nice long ride in the Sabi Sands, and I've got to see a lot of different areas within the Sabi Sands, which has been incredible. As you can see, some of the little ones there, or just one at this stage, is having a little drink from the mother. Now these little cubs are still quite small, and so they will still be suckling from time to time as they start their weaning process onto meat. You will find that during these hot periods in the afternoons, often the mothers are very relaxed, and they will then be lying down and allow the perfect opportunity for the mothers to come in and grab, for the little babies to come in and grab a little drink. And so you'll find that they'll feed quite nicely now, in preparation for when the mothers are going to leave later, when it gets a bit cooler, and start to hunt. So there's a question from Kathy in Tennessee. She would like to know how many particular prides a male coalition can watch over. Now, that is obviously quite a varying amount, given that a male lion will push as far as he possibly can in order to take as much territory as possible. It will also depend on the size of the coalition. Here we are very lucky that we have a coalition of 4 males, and so being that there are 4 of them, they're able to take quite a large area. So it's a difficult question in that they could potentially take over 1-2 prides, 2 being the prides that the Birminghams have taken over, or they could potentially end up in a situation, if this coalition continues to push their boundaries, where they get 5, 6, 7 prides. It's all really about the amount of pressure that they come across from other lions, and whether or not they're strong enough to then push into a new area and take away the territory from their existing males that are there. See one of the little ones coming and greeting one of the aunts. So it's quite common to see this little rubbing up. Might even be its mother. Like I say, I haven't seen too much of them, so it's difficult to work out who's who here as to moms and babies. But it's quite common that even if that's not the mother, that the little one will make its way towards the aunt and will begin to rub up on the auntie and just get a little social bond going. Oh, look at those teeth. There we go. Isn't that incredible? I think mom has had enough now of suckling. You can imagine after a while with those little sharp teeth and rough little tongues that after a while it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Also, given that it's quite hot, I'm sure these lions are a little bit kind of temperamental and are probably a little bit irritable. And so little cubs jumping all over mom's tummy and suckling and biting is not going down too well. So you'll find that she might just stand up and go and reposition somewhere in the hope that the cubs won't follow her and will stop the suckling. You can see one little one is very eager. It still wants milk there. Alright guys, so we're going to sit here for a little bit longer and enjoy this beautiful, incredible sighting. In the meantime, you guys can go across to James and see if what an update is with Sindile.
Well, my only update is to say that we haven't found Sindile. We drove through the block, looked on every single termite mound, and then Brian, you said to me...
I said to you...
he might be looking for some
shade.
There we are. And then we realized there wasn't much shade there, and this, the great Balanites tree, is the closest shade. And so that is where we have come. There are no tracks of the leopard, of course, and he doesn't seem to be hanging in its leafy boughs, does he? No. Naughty fellow. Anyway, we are going to do our best to find him. Ooh, something else through there. There's a slender mongoose, which I'm not going to ask you to film.
I'll try anyways.
Are you? I wouldn't.
No, it's gone.
It's gone. There was a slender mongoose there. Alright everyone, yeah, we're just going to do a little loop around here and see what we can find. I haven't seen his tracks, so he may well still be in the same block. Anyway, so it goes. Now we also saw many Steenbok, many Dike in there, so I wonder if he caught one of them. He was certainly on the trail. He seemed to be very much on the hunt, and as Brian said to me the last kill he had, he actually hoisted into a tree. And I think his history of his history of not basically being taught anything by his mother left him to do it all on his own, and it's a testament to the amount that leopards learn by instinct alone. His mother, a very occasional hoister of kills. He obviously has done it from instinct. He knows how to do it. He did it with the dog that he caught. He did it with the last big impala that he had. So he's a good hoister, and no one's taught him to do that. And I always think that it's quite an interesting difference between cheetah and leopard, where cheetah are almost certainly trained by their mothers how to kill and sort of coached through the process. Leopards, like your average house cat, they just know. And I think that's rather remarkable. And I know we had some discussion a little while back about Djuma, who's that famous leopard from the Joubert film. And they make quite a lot, I think, in that film of the teaching that either Djuma receives or that she gives to her daughter. And certainly in Sindile's case, he's learnt it all on his own. And very nice that we've got the lions, of course, with Tristen. It's always easier for your first drive to actually have quite a nice sort of sighting to settle in on. I had exactly the same sighting, the Nkuhuma Pride, on my first drive. They were sans cubs at the stage, and there were 7 lionesses when I began. It was before the Birmingham boys moved in. Right, Tristen has had sufficient breather. Let's go back to him, find out how the lions are doing. I'm going to spend a little bit more time over here, and then we'll go and see what else we can find.
Welcome back, everybody. Not too much has changed in the time that we've been away. I believe James is still in the area scratching around for Sindile, and I'm sure he'll come right there in the next little bit. But what we do have is one of the little cubs that's just having a little grooming session. So you can see there it's got its little tongue out, which has got those rough little hooks, and it's just getting rid of any little loose bits of fur or any little parasites that may have crawled onto it during the day. There's a little one stretching in the background, big yawn. And here it comes over to mom. Oh no, and we've just flopped down. Lost the will to move there, unfortunately. I think, again, a little bit hot for these little ones. This will be their first taste of summer. We've had very nice cool temperatures up to about a week ago, and all of a sudden the temperature has really spiked, and so these little ones will not be quite used to these hot afternoons, and so I can imagine sitting around in these hot days is taking it out of them a little bit, and so there's a lot of flopping around and taking a few steps and falling down again. So Debbie would like to know why there is such a big difference between the Nkuhumas and the sticks, and whether the fact that there are more Nkuhuma females gives them a ability to catch more food and to be able to look after the cubs better. Now, while that may be the case, I don't think so. The biggest difference between the Nkuhumas and the sticks currently is that the sticks have what's called mange. All right, they have been contracted this little mite that lives in their fur, and unfortunately that mite drives them to itch constantly, and they scratch, and they spend too much time scratching that they're not really focusing on what else is going on. They don't suckle as much from mom, as well as the fact that the little mite sucks from their blood and causes them to dehydrate and emaciate very, very quickly. And so that is the main difference. If you have a look at all of the lions that we see here, the females and the little cubs, none of them are showing those little black patches that we see on the sticks females as well as their little cubs. And so that is probably the biggest reason why there's such a big difference between the health. You know, the sticks females, from what I've seen over the last few weeks, they've been quite successful and have caught quite a number of buffaloes. So it's nothing to do with the amount of nutrition. It's more just to do with this mange that has unfortunately infected all the little cubs. And the problem with mange is that mange comes from when an animal touches and comes into contact with one another, and as we've seen with these little cubs while we've been with them now, is there's lots of little touching and rubbing up on one another, and so the mange jumps from one to the other, and that's why it has spread so quickly through that pride. We just have a look there, two little ones suckling quite intently, even got their eyes closed, they're so happy with life. Not a bad deal to be a little cub in a successful pride like this. Oh, and we've got a little one that's got a little stick over there. Dave, I don't know if you can see it. Yes. So let the game begin. Now these little ones are obviously teething, and so things like sticks are the best game that there can be. They go and grab the little stick and they'll bite it and chew it, as well as using those paws. And while it looks like all innocent fun now, that is a great way for these little cubs to learn. So as they're going on in life and they're able to start hunting and catching animals, the way that they grip the stick, the way that they bite it, is all going to come in handy later in life. Isn't it just the cutest thing though? So Aaron from New Zealand would like to know what coalition I've spent the most amount of time with. Well, Aaron, that's quite an interesting question. I would imagine currently would probably be the Majingalans would probably be the most. I have spent quite a bit of time with the Birminghams, the Matimbas, the Hildesrock males when they were still alive, the Charleston males. But I would imagine the Majingalans, they were around when I trained at Singita, as well as in the times that I was here up in Chitwa. They were the dominant coalition in our area, so we used to see them very, very regularly. So I would say that it was the Majingalans, but lately, obviously, we've been seeing the Birminghams quite a bit, so it's been quite nice to get to know them and to be able to spend a bit of time with them. And talking of the Birminghams, we have one that is lying right here in front of us, and he's being a very naughty boy at the moment. He keeps dropping little bombs of gas, which is quite unpleasant. So luckily we don't have a thing as smell-o-vision, because there is a lovely smell emanating from him as we sit here. But he needs to stop that now because it's quite off-putting. Maybe let's go to the cub on the left. So Roger would like to know if I'm aware of any nearby nomadic coalitions. Well, Roger, I don't know of any that are a serious threat at this stage. There are a couple of young males in the prides to our south and our east, southwest, in the Salala pride, as well as in the breakaway Mangane pride. But those males are still with the females, and so no real threat to these guys just yet. Obviously, we have no idea what is sitting in the Kruger National Park at this stage. There could be quite a number of males that are coming in from that side, or from the Timbavati to our north, the Manyeleti Game Reserve. But within the Sabi Sands currently, there is no real young coalitions that could challenge the dominance of the four Birminghams. Even if the three Salala males or the three Mangane males had to come up into this area, it would still be three youngsters against four bigger, stronger males, and I highly doubt that they would really take or provide too much opposition for the Birminghams. Now that is a great news for us, because currently this area that we're in, unfortunately, has gone through quite a number of coalitions in the years, some that have been only around for a very short period of time, and so unfortunately the females haven't had a very successful run of it in producing and giving cubs and growing the prides. And so these guys, being young males, the Birminghams, that have settled in here, and there's no real sort of threat from any coalitions around us, is going to make, hopefully, for some very successful litters going forward, which will be great news for the area and great news for the prides that we see. Now there's one little one there that you guys can see is having a field day with a ball of elephant dung. You can imagine that little bit of dung gives way a little bit, and it's quite tacky, so digging those claws in is quite the game. And we've gotten bored of the elephant dung and now onto the tree. So we're going to chew the tree for a while. Maybe push the tree away, don't want that, sorry. Not cool. So speaking of trees, we are going to now link back to James. I believe he's showing us his acrobatic skills and has been able to find a tree of his own.
Hello everybody, I've always wanted to climb this tree and we just came to have a look here because it seemed like another good shade tree. It is a false marula tree. In fact it's not, it's a real marula tree and it's growing on the top of a termite mound here. It certainly looks in many ways like a false marula tree, but I think it's a real one. Is it? Yes, it's a real one. I mustn't doubt myself, you see. Now, I was hoping that I might see the spots and dappled pelage of Sindela, perhaps, at a similar height to that which I find myself now. I have not seen him, nor have we seen his tracks coming out of this block. So I'm not really sure what we're going to do. We'll probably do one more foray through here, and then carry on to some other things. I believe there are some elephants at the Djuma Dam camp, if you wish to look at them. I must now get out of here, of course, and this can be quite intimidating when one is live. Brian, you will save me if I fall, won't you? Yes, because it is Sunday, and I don't want to hurt myself, Brian.
Careful, James.
Oh, thank goodness. How's my audio? Oh, good.
Double backflip.
Right. Oh, Ryan. Look at that.
Oh, wonderful.
That's amazing. That is the Steenbok's head, everybody. Well, it was a Steenbok's head. Isn't that cool? This is actually a great little discovery. So there's the horn, that's the bone obviously, and you can see how much of the horn is actually a keratin sheath, and that keratin sheath, of course, if you look at the buffalo, is eaten by those keratophagous moths. Just wondering if it won't come off. It will, you know. Watch this.
Sure.
Huh? How cool is that? So there's a lot of keratin there, but I'll tell you what's interesting, I think, to me, is the size of the brain case. Look in there. That brain case is probably the size of what? A granadilla? Or passion fruit, everybody, what many of you would call a passion fruit. And that's quite big, you know. They say that a lion's brain, for example, is probably about the same size, but if you compare this thing with the size of a lion, I mean it's about a tenth the mass, and its brain is relatively quite large. Very nice. And the only other thing to show you here is the different pieces of the skull. And the skull's got a number of different bones in it, and they fuse after birth. They're often not fused when the animal is born. I think in something like this, which is born very precocial, they could well actually be fused already.
Bring it for the tent.
The tent, very good point. Thank you, Brian. I nearly didn't. There we are. Steenbok. Good. Not quite Sindela, but you know. It is Sunday afternoon. Maybe he's resting. You hear that, everyone? Fish eagles, nowhere near water. That's very odd. Oh, there they are. They're up there, Brian.
I've got to see them. Oh, there we go.
There they are. They're probably going towards Sydney's dam, everyone. And they're flying with the wind at their backs, you can see. That's why their wings are folded like that. Marvellous. So far away. Isn't that a peaceful shot? That's the quintessential Sunday afternoon shot, that. Birds flying in a perfect azure sky. Very nice. Should we carry on, Brian?
Yes.
Let's carry on. Find a leopard. It's a lovely tree, that. Brian and I were once watching Karula in that tree, and we discovered that Karula, much like Kwatile, doesn't like beatboxing or rap. And indeed she got very cross with us and growled at us when we were beatboxing, so we stopped immediately because she made us afraid. Sean, you're in Secunda and you're wondering what my favourite tree to climb is. My favourite tree to climb doesn't actually exist here. It's something called a Natal mahogany. You right, Brian? Yes. Natal mahogany, and it's a great big tree that grows on the river banks, and you'd find it on the banks of the Sand River or the Sabi River, and it kind of needs permanent water. That's why we don't find it here. It's a beautiful big tree, but I mean the trunk looks a little bit like a Balanites tree with those flutes. Okay, we're going to continue our search. Let's go back to Tristen and the Nkuhuma pride.
Welcome back, guys. Hope you enjoyed James's acrobatic skills as he climbed that tree, as well as his anatomy lesson on that skull of that Steenbok. Since you've been gone, a few games have started to develop. A couple of the little ones have decided enough with the sticks and trees and elephant dung. It's now time to move on to something with a heartbeat, and they have started to play with one another. We've had tails being pulled, and now we've got paws being bitten, paws in faces. It's all very gentle at this stage, but I'm sure the roughhousing is getting harder and harder, and I would imagine somebody is going to squeak soon. We had a few little squeals from one just now when its tail got pulled, and I would imagine that is going to carry on. Now, while we've been sitting here, we've been just looking at the size of this Birmingham's male's his paws. His paws are in fact the same size as these older cubs' head. They are massive, massive, massive. Unfortunately, now he's moved them to an angle that is not very good, but we'll go back to that just now. But it is quite incredible the size of the feet of these big male lions. You don't really get a fair sense of it until you're very close to them like we are now. It's incredibly, incredibly large. Now the females have been fairly restless as well. They've been getting up and down. So Sibosiso in Hammanskraal has quite an interesting question. He has heard that male lions with dark black manes tend to represent a more powerful animal, and if this is true, what would the measure be of power? Now, it's not exactly that a darker mane represents more power. It's just that generally for a male to achieve a dark mane, he would have had to have taken over a territory and been able to fight off and ward off other males to be able to get that, which would have caused the flush of testosterone for this melanin production to happen and the mane to go thicker and darker. And so generally a black mane male or a darker mane male is an animal that has gone through the rigors of being a young nomadic male and has now established himself as a territorial dominant individual. So whether he is more powerful than the other is anyone's guess. There is no measure for that, but it's just more an indication to the other lions that this male has gone through this process and has had his fair share of fights to take over and has therefore grown this mane, and it's an indicator to them that this is a male that has been through the mill and has been able to challenge for dominance. I have seen in my time sometimes the blonde males actually doing okay and taking over a pride, but generally the darker males seem to be far more successful. I thought for a second there we were going to have a brave little one that was going to come and investigate the male here, but I think he's thought otherwise and has stopped there and rather kept a little bit of distance. Just love this little cub that's lying with its legs absolutely spread open. Every now and then there's a little paw flick to get rid of the flies around the ears and the eyes, but isn't that look like a very relaxed, chilled little individual? Almost looks like it's gone to the swimming pool and is now having a little lounge. Rather good idea on a day like today. It is a lazy Sunday afternoon after all. Perfect. This cub's got the right idea, that's for sure. So Janet would like to know at what age these lions will lose the spots on their head. Now, obviously it's a dependent thing. I've seen lions that are 3-4 years old that still have spots around the legs area, but the spots on the head typically start to disappear already at around 6 months old. You'll see that the older cubs, the spots are not nearly as pronounced as what you see on the younger cubs here, and slowly but surely they will start to fade. And when these guys start to reach, like I say, about 6-7 months old, those spots on the head are gone, and then when they get to probably about 3-4, the spots are really very, very faded. You'll still see a few on the inside of the legs, but other than that, very little. I've just seen one of the females has gotten up and walked off, and another female has perked her head up here and seems to be looking quite intently. Now I wonder if maybe the other female has just gone to the toilet, or if it's going to be time to get up and do a little bit of moving. It would be quite nice to see if they start to get going, perhaps for a little afternoon drink. It's that time of the day, and in weather like this it's often the case that they will start to move towards water. So let's just have a look and see where this female ambles off to. Looks like she might just go and join the rest of the females that have found themselves a very nice little shady area there behind a fallen over log. Looks like the perfect place. Oh no, she's carrying on. And the other female disappeared in a slightly different direction, and so it'll be interesting to see where they're all going. I'm hoping that all females will start moving. Oh, there we go. See, we've got the attention of the other two. I wonder if maybe something hasn't joined us. There might be some sort of antelope or something that these guys have now seen, or these ladies have now seen, and maybe we're going to be very lucky and watch these guys maybe go on a hunt. So let's just turn the vehicle around and just see if maybe we can see something. These other little cubs here, I'm sure, are going to go bundling along and follow the moms, and the male shouldn't be too far behind them either. But let's just give those females a follow. So we're just going to make a little turn here just to see what's behind us. Like I say, there might have been something, because the one female kind of popped up and headed off in a direction, and I've seen all the others now watching intently as she's walked, and it's possible maybe that something has rocked up here. Wouldn't it be exciting if something like an antelope or a buffalo has wandered along and has joined these guys? Guys, so while we follow and investigate what's going on and see what we can find here, we're going to link back to James and see what he's up to.
And James is up to exactly the same thing, everybody. And we have not managed to find anything, I'm afraid. One Steenbok ran away, a Dika ran away. No Sindila, he didn't run away, he's hiding. Anyway, we'll do our best to continue to stoically find interesting things today here in the wild. I'm looking for the first flushes of spring. Have you seen any, Brian? No. Hello, Cat in Tampa. Very good question. You say, shouldn't he be easy, Sindila that is, to track? Because he has a collar on. Well, yes, in theory, if he had it, I'm not sure if there's actually telemetry in it. I think there's telemetry in it, but we don't have access to any of that stuff. And I quite like it like that. It means he can have some privacy. So I think there are two aspects to that collar, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just quickly have a look at that hornbill, if you don't mind, Brian. It's a grey hornbill on the end of the tree there. He looked like he had something quite tasty to eat. But he doesn't, does he, Brian? No. Anyway, that's a nice picture of him. So telemetry is that thing where the collar gives out a ping, and if you've got the correct equipment, you can pick up that ping, and the closer the ping is, or the louder the ping is, and the closer together they are, the closer the leopard is, or the closer the leopard's collar is. So that's the story there. I think there's also then the GPS collar, or the GPS part of the collar, and what that does is give his position every so often. Now, from what I understand, that doesn't always give a reading. So it's set to give readings at various times, but it doesn't always do what it's supposed to. And that's why Gerry Camacho, who has all the data from the collar, doesn't give an update every single day, because there isn't an update every single day. So yes, if we had the telemetry equipment, we could track him using that, but that, I just think that would kind of ruin it slightly. I think it's quite nice that he's able to have his privacy as and when he wants it, and so we'll just track him like we do the normal leopards. The normal leopards. He is a normal leopard. One mustn't denormalize him, must one, Brian? No. Everyone is special. And just to remind you, we will be having a fireside chat today at 5:45. That is Central African, 5:45. I'm not sure what time that is wherever you are. We're going to be looking at a clip of the Mara, where I was last week for 2 days or so, and we'll look at that quite astonishing sighting of, well, there aren't 5 leopards in the clip, but there were 5 leopards at the sighting when the wild dogs arrived with Jamie, and that's what we'll be looking at in the final control, at least in the fireside chat. And if you wish to ask us questions, I would suggest you send them through now, and Jamie and I will attempt to answer them. It's only 15 minutes or so, and so it's very difficult for us to take the questions and then get to them at the right time. Right, we're just going to make our way around the corner here, and I've pretty much given up on Sindile now. Oh, Joe, you want to know what animal this is? It's a Steenbok. There it is. Samuel, the Steenbok. There he is. That's his back end. That's his, no, that's his front end, sorry. There's his side profile. Sammy, the Steenbok. Unfortunately, he died some time back, and I'm almost certain a leopard killed him, probably hung him in that very tree that I was climbing in earlier on, and devoured him there. I'm going to look quickly with my binoculars through here and see if I haven't spotted some Sindile. But I have not. I don't think he's come out of this block. We've checked all around it now and haven't found any tracks at all. But you know how often we've said that, and how often we have not succeeded in finding our quarry. Anyway, let's continue. I know there's some elephants at the Waterhole. It is quite warm today. It's almost, well, it's probably almost 30 degrees today, 85 Fahrenheit or so. And so I think we should probably pop around. Ooh, hang on a second. Surely not. Surely not. It's a fallen tree. It is a fallen tree, but I am going to look at it with my binoculars anyway. Just to confirm that it is a fallen tree, yes. Nothing in there. Anyway, on a hot day like this, it's always worth going to just pop around some of the waterholes, see who's come to say hello. Sindile might indeed pop down to a waterhole himself. Hello, baby GNU. Baby GNU, you want to know if the fireside chat will be on Facebook or if it'll be on the stream? It will definitely be on the stream, baby GNU. The Facebook Live fireside chat thing was a little bit of a disaster because it didn't work for all of our viewers. and so we've gone back to the stream. So it will be the normal stream. Right, the lions are still moving. Tristen, our supposedly rookie presenter, has managed to find all the animals, so let's go back to him while the relative veteran hacks about for something.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you, James. From a veteran who's fairly agile at his old age, I'll happily be very happy with my days if I end up in the same condition as you as a veteran. But yes, as we've come back to us, the lions have all seemed to have gone static. We had two females that walked away and they've just come back, and the male began to approach them, and it looked like there might have been a little interaction. But the females have bypassed slightly now and are busy just contact calling slowly to the cubs. So I wonder if they maybe are now just calling them to maybe go look for water. In the background you can see the little cubs bounding along, and hopefully they're going to come right past us here. The other three females are stacked in this little thicket to my right hand side here, and so like I say, I'm pretty sure that we're on the move and we're going to hopefully head towards water. Wouldn't it be great just to be able to follow these guys as we go and see what they get up to? For now, the male is completely disinterested. He's found himself shade again and is quite happy there, but let's see what happens here. There's another female that seems to be coming back in this direction. She's off on my right hand side here and is slowly watching and listening to the squeaks and contact calls of the other females. There she comes.
Mind your head.
So there we go. You can hear every now and then. I don't know if you guys can pick it up, but there's these little low, soft contact calls. Now the reason why they're not full-blooded roaring is that all they want to do is just call the little cubs that weren't far away and just get them to come to the moms. And so rather than making a huge advertising statement by roaring full tilt, oh, look at this, isn't that amazing? The little cubs are going to go greet the male. Oh, and there's a little game happening. Oh, look at that, very brave little cubs. I've seen many a cub get quite disciplined for that, but this is quite a tolerant male, jumping all over him. It's amazing. It's incredible, incredible sighting. Oh, here comes another one. Let's see if we'll get the same. That is incredible. Look at that. Oh, a little bit of love, a little bit of playing. That's incredible. And no aggression from the male whatsoever. Now, I've seen the males often getting quite aggressive with little cubs, and so that's quite a little sighting that we've seen there. And here we go. The whole pride is on its way. Still one female at the back with the stragglers. Looks like the youngest of the cubs, who are being quite naughty and don't really want to come with mom at all. Lots of complaining going along as mom is calling them. I'm sure they don't really want to be walking in this heat, but are being forced to at this stage. And what I'm going to do is just pull slightly forward here where there's a little open gap, and we can watch the other three come along. Isn't that sound the most amazing thing? When the little cubs call out. Incredible. There we're sitting here and we've got cubs calling on both sides of us, moms that are calling. Incredible just to be sitting amongst this and to listen to what's going on. Such an amazing experience. And we are so glad that all of you are here with us watching. It blows my mind every single time when I think of this concept and how we are sitting here and broadcasting across the world, and how you guys are able to sit with us and enjoy these amazing sounds and amazing sights all the way from Africa and South Africa. Incredible. Dave, I'm just going to move slightly forward. Unfortunately, the little ones are lying just behind this big knob thorn here, so let's move forward slightly. That's a far better view there. So Ashley from Missouri would like to know, is it very strange to be talking to a camera lens instead of people on the back of the vehicle? Well, Ashley, honestly, yes, it is very strange. It takes something, or takes a bit of getting used to, having to look into the center of a camera and getting nothing coming back at you. But essentially the guiding and being able to watch of animals and explain their behavior is still relatively the same as guests. And so it actually doesn't feel too bad when we're talking about it, but when I am now sitting staring at the camera like I am doing now, it is a little bit odd, I will admit. But seem to be okay and seems to be going alright, so for now we are all good. Now that was a very short little lived period of activity from these lions. They seem to all flop down again, which is the way it goes with lions. Unfortunately, they're animals that are not the most energetic during the day, and so when you get bouts of activity, generally it's small little bouts and they move a few meters and then lie back down again. I don't know if you can just see those birds there. So we've got a little flock of birds flying over. Now these little guys are Rhett's helmet shrikes. So I don't know if any of the birders out there who are keeping bird lists have seen Rhett's helmet shrikes here. They are quite an uncommon one. You don't see them that often. They've seemed to have disappeared down onto the other side of this drainage line. Find them very commonly along riverbed areas. They like the big trees. But yes, a nice one for those birders that are with us this afternoon. Oh, big scary vehicle. Let's just chase that little one, unfortunately. Come hide behind mother. Very, very wise choice. So you'll see that little cub there has got its mouth open and is breathing quite heavily. Now you'll find this quite commonly in cats and dogs too. When it is very warm, there's lots and lots of panting and breathing, just to help with the reducing the heat that they build up. Being furry coated animals, you can imagine when the sun's on them it gets quite hot out here, and so that's just their way of cooling down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that little one. But I'm sure these cubs are very interested to know why Mom came and called them and brought them all the way back. What I suspect has happened is maybe that some of the females, the two initially that left, have possibly just wanted to go to the toilet and have been very ladylike and removed themselves from the area, which caused the other members of the pride to follow along with interest in the hope that maybe there was an opportunity for a meal. And they left the little cubs alone with the male. Now, I think some of the females got a little bit nervous and they promptly came straight back again and called the little ones just to make sure that they were in eyesight and not being left on their own. Even though we've just seen that that male had no interest in being aggressive towards them whatsoever, it's still that maternal instinct that comes into play when the little cubs are by themselves and there is a male around. So Andy would like to know how often males will enter this territory, and the answer to that is a difficult one. You know, it depends on the amount of males that we have around us. In my experience and my time here in the Sabi Sands, the amount of males has been quite a lot, and they've come in fairly regularly. We've had them in pretty much every sort of year or every 18 months. There's been a new coalition that's started to arrive here in the Sabi Sands. And so I think it depends on the coalitions around us. It depends on the aging of the males that are dominant in this area. So if we've got very old males that start to wear down and these new younger guys can come in, or just depends on the cubs that are produced in other prides and in the surrounding areas. So there's no real time span and there's no real estimate as to when a new coalition will arrive. But in my experience and in the time that I've spent here in the Sabi Sands, we've looked at it sort of every 18 months. There's been some sort of new faces that has ended up showing themselves here in this part of the northeastern Sabi Sands. And the cubs seem quite restless still. They're still up and down all over the show. Not too many games being played at the moment, but they are moving a lot and looking around and just checking about what's going on. Like I say, I'm sure they're quite intrigued as to why Mom has moved them. It could be that they are planning on carrying on and moving off later when it gets a little bit cooler. And there's a very nice tambuti thicket that's just behind the cubs. As we go out there, you'll have a little look at that. And that would be a great place to hide cubs in the evening if the females were to go off to hunt. And so that's possibly where these females are taking these little ones, is just to put them into this little thicket before carrying on and going to go see what's out there. Oh, listen to that little squeaking. Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? We've got paws, we've got hugs, we've got little bites. It's very, very cute at this age. So Mark would like to know if all 8 of the cubs are here. Mark, to be honest, I only see currently 7, but I think all 8 are here. I have not counted them yet. I've been so blown away by actually seeing them that I haven't had a chance to even count them. But I would imagine that all 8 are here. I will definitely keep an eye out and see how many there are. Currently, as I can see 7. But I don't see the 8th one, which might be tucked up somewhere here behind one of the mothers. But yeah, there are 4 in front of me and 3 that are behind, busy suckling from the mother. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but in the background the little ones are complaining quite bitterly, fighting over milk. So Kitty Bang Bang would like to know, how old do these cubs need to be before they will start to practice the art of phlegm and grimace? Now Kitty, just for future reference, the spelling of phlegm is F-L-E-H-E-M. There we go. My English teacher would be very impressed with me. Not that I was very good at English, but I think she'll be quite proud. Now, that is an interesting one. Generally, these cubs have no interest in any sort of social communication, so they will not be too worried about the urine of any other lion. So generally it's when they become territorial. So males, you normally start to see them start to phlegm and grimace around 3.5 to 4 years old, when they start to break away from the pride. Whereas the females, I've actually seen quite young females that are 18 months starting to grimace and to smell the urine as the mothers do it. And it's almost a way of copying the mothers. I don't think they really understand the whole process yet, but they just sniff around and do what mom does. And even the young males to a degree do that. But when it becomes really pertinent and the time that they're really doing it for a purpose is generally when they become an adult. So that's normally at around 3 years old. There's another lioness that's just come back. I'm just busy looking over our shoulders here. I'm just going to watch her and see. Maybe she's going to go towards the male. I think she's just also looking for a little bit of shade there. It is absolutely incredible just to be in amongst these lions. They are by far my favorite pride in this area. They are absolutely beautiful females. The Birminghams have really come of age lately, and they are looking fantastic as well. And so to sit here amongst them and to have lions surrounding us in all directions is the most amazing way to spend a Sunday afternoon. I can't tell you how amazing it is. Here comes another lioness. So this is the youngest female within the pride. She's yet to produce her first litter of cubs, but from what I've been hearing, she has been tempting the males somewhat, and so hopefully she will be producing soon. Oh, listen to that little one calling. Alright guys, so while we sit here with these lions for a little bit longer and listen to the squeaks and squawks of these little babies and watch them play around with their mothers, we're going to go back towards James, who is sitting with a large pachyderm.
We have not managed to find Sandila, everybody, but we have managed to find a Sunday herd of elephants. They're having a good time tossing mud on themselves, a bit of sand. There we go. That's really nice to see. They're sitting here at Red Dam, where I thought maybe young Cinderella may have come to have a bit of a drink, but he has not. But that doesn't matter. We're having a lovely time here with him. Not him, with them. Isn't that nice? Oh, look, Brian. The usual story. Anyway, they're doing this, of course, just to make... I think they like the feeling on their skin. Apparently it's supposed to do something for parasites. I'm not convinced that that's a major reason for it. But it's quite sweet to watch. And there are quite a few of them here, you know. 3 in that little group. 1 coming out the drainage line, and another tiny little one off to the left-hand side, which we can't actually see. Did you hear that, everyone? That was a very impressive fanfare produced by an elephant making flatulence. So I'm glad we managed to find something, aren't you, Brian? It was starting to get a bit dire, wasn't it? Yes. Oh, look at the little thing sitting down now in the mud. And too lazy to actually get up. He's just throwing sand on himself from there. It's ridiculous. Wonderful to see. There's a little one there now, probably only about 18 months old or so, running after Mum. That is so cool. And he's going off with his parents. Well, not his parents, his mother. And they're all just going up to the top there. It's great fun, and I mean, it's so amazing because they're so agile for such big animals. You would struggle to climb out of this drainage line. It's really not, it's very steep-sided. So steep-sided that, I mean, you can't actually drive into it. But the elephants are able to climb out of it, which is amazing. Alright, let's go back to the lions, see what they're doing. We'll try and stay with these elephants. Just before you go, sorry, over here, look at the amazing flowers on this beautiful knobthorn tree. The smell they're giving off is just heavenly. See you later.
Welcome back, guys. I believe James has been on the flower hunt and is busy smelling the knob thorns. And yes, they are heavenly, James, I agree with you. Very, very pleasant smell. You can imagine if you're a hungry giraffe, how much more pleasant that smells like, or even a bee for that matter. Now, since you guys have left us, a couple of the cubs have been with the male. They were having a little sniff around and have now got bored of the male, who seems to not be too interested in them, and are wandering off towards a tree. So let's have a look here. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a game. We're going to scratch our claws. That's all just helping to sharpen those little claws up and make them incredibly needle-like, so as when they go and play with mom or each other, they will do more damage. Oh, hello. We've just jumped up. That's amazing. And who says lions can't climb? Yeah, it's a very, very poor attempt at a climb. I hope James didn't look like that while he was climbing. But yes, with practice, maybe things will get better. Here we go, round 2. Ooh. no, not quite energetic enough for round 2. I think it's better just to bite the tree. When you can't climb it, bite it. Fair enough. There's quite a few trees taking a bit of a pounding. In the background there's another one that's also jumping all over a branch, and unfortunately that branch is not big enough to sustain its weight, so it's bending quite heavily. But yes, they are having quite a game, and it's getting to that time of the day now where it's really cooled down quite a bit. We've got a nice little bit of a breeze going, and I think the cubs are taking this opportunity to have a good game. I'm sure they were very, very tired during the day and have rested quite nicely, and so now it's time to run around and expend all that excess energy from sleeping. So look out, moms, and look out, dad. I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots of naughty little ones running around, biting and playing and jumping and squeaking. It should be quite entertaining, actually. In the meantime, the male over here is, as we come back, we'll have a look now at him, is battling a fly war. I don't know if you've noticed, he's got quite a few sort of old scrapes and scars around his face, which are all inflicted by his brothers and coalition members. But those little things will attract flies, as well as the moisture that comes from his eyes and around his muzzle area. And those little flies will be landing on him and driving him absolutely crazy. Now, anybody who's been in an area with lots of flies will know it is quite an irritation when flies are landing all over your face. And so he is fighting the war valiantly, but I fear he is losing quite heavily at this stage. There are still many little insects buzzing around his ears and eyes there. Oh, a little fight is breaking out over some milk over there. I'm just going to go forward so you guys can see them. Now this will be quite common amongst little lion cubs, even though they are very, very friendly with one another and bond and will play and really look after one another when they become pride members and coalition mates. When it comes to food, and particularly mother's milk, there is big wars that go on, and you'll often hear lots of fighting and scrapping over the milk. There we go, you can hear there's one that's trying to get in there. It's going to force its way. It's trying to push its way. Oh, and we've just flopped down. Look at that, they're fighting over that. Oh, mom is very unhappy there. I think she's had enough. She's now grabbed that naughty little cub and is telling it, that's enough from you, youngster. You behave yourself. So Kitty Bang Bang would like to know, do little cubs go to their mother first for milk? In my experience, no, they don't. Sometimes they will try their luck and they will go towards another female. I've seen it with the Styx cubs quite regularly. The older cubs are going towards the little ones, mother, and they actually outmuscle the little ones and push them away and end up stealing from those little ones. But generally, yes. I think when the mothers arrive back from hunting, they will call and each little cub will go running straight to its mom. Ultimately, it wants the affection from mom, and it knows that that will be a guaranteed source of milk. I've seen a lot of the females, when it's not their cub, they'll actually chase those little cubs away and allow their cubs to suckle first. And once their little cubs have gone, oh, look at that little one carrying a ball of elephant dung there. So yes, once they've their little cubs have suckled, the older ones then come in. Oh, there are games everywhere at the moment. There's one biting a leaf of a tree, two of them are attacking balls of elephant dung, and there is one now on its way to try and investigate what's going on here and to wonder, why am I not part of all of this? And here it comes, and let's see which way it's going to go. Is it going to be food or play? Which is a question I find myself asking multiple times in one day. Here we go. And we approach with caution. Sum up the options. Well, food has been declined quite heavily there. I think too much competition at the table there. And tree it is, I think. Or maybe just lie down. And there we're going to lie down. Good option, I think. There's lots of competition around the other playstations there. There's the tree that's being used heavily, and mom, who's looks like a ball of cubs at this stage with a leg protruding from it. Multiple little ones all suckling there. She's even opened her leg a little bit to make space for all of them and allow them all to have a good access to her teats. So James Richard would like to know what cat species, big cat species, I like spending the most amount of time with. Well, James, I am a spotted fan. So I am a leopard fan. I love to spend my time with leopards. In fact, the more time the better with them. While it is very difficult not to enjoy time spent with a pride of lions like this, with these beautiful little cubs, I find that lions are often very sleepy and can be a little bit on the downside, or boring side, should I say, at times, and especially when it's hot. But yeah, leopard is just for me the most exquisite animal, and I love spending time with them. They're always getting up to different things. They've got such a varied diet that you never quite know what's going to happen with them. So I love spending time with them more than anything else. Oh, look at that little one with a mouthful of elephant dung there. I don't know if you can see it. It is very, very, very chuffed with its elephant dung. That is its own little meal, and it is going to protect that from everybody. Oh, that is mine, definitely. That is the cutest little thing. Oopsie, we've dropped it. Little sniff of the air. I would imagine, yes, it will be quite stinky once you've been chewing on some elephant dung. Listen to the ruckus going on there at Mom's feeding station. Lots of noise. I'm afraid no rest for Mother this afternoon. It sounds like an Sunday afternoon at my house. There was lots of games being played, and unfortunately Mom and Dad didn't get much time to sleep when I was a youngster. It seems like that's the same way here. There's now another one that's grabbed another ball of elephant dung. Listen to that. Ooh. Mom is not happy. Enough of that now, children. You've ruined the moment. There's been too much biting, too much complaining, and Mom has had enough. So she is now going to turn herself around, show some teeth to those little ones, and that is enough of a sign to them to tell them to behave, as anybody needs. And I tell you what, if I was a little cub and I saw a mouth like that of teeth, I think I would pull my socks up quite quickly and behave myself as well. But it is amazing how energetic these little ones are. If we had to spend time with just the lionesses and the male and there were no cubs around here, I would imagine that it would have been a lot more of a quiet affair. In fact, I think we would have had 5 quite sleepy lions. But as it stands, we've got the cubs, and they are proving to be very entertaining this afternoon. I am so happy that we managed to find them and to spend some time with them. They are incredibly cute and absolute little bundles of joy, I must be honest. Just like I said to you earlier, this is the first time that I've actually spent time with them, and my goodness, are they amazing little creatures. I love these little guys already. They are great. So X-Ranger would like to know, has asked, that size is a difficult thing to judge, and how big are these little cubs? Well, that is a difficult thing. We're going to have to put it into perspective. I don't know where X-Ranger is from and what we can use as a measurement tool, but I would say in terms of height-wise, they're probably currently standing at about 20 centimeters, 25 centimeters tall at the shoulder, and are probably no longer than half a meter from head to the tip of to the base of the tail. I think if we add the tail in, we might be a little bit longer than that. But that is about the size that they're at, of the older ones. The smaller ones are even smaller than that. They are not standing too tall at the moment. I would say probably about 15 to 20 centimeters off the ground, and are still probably only about just over a ruler length. For those of you that went to school and had 30 centimeter rulers, about a ruler length long. So they are still quite small, and when you see them up against Mom and with the adult male, and they are the parents are standing up, you really get a true sense of how small they actually are. And you can watch that one as it carries off a ball of dung. It had to do a little bit of 4x4ing over the other ball. It's just to show you how small they actually are. If you look at the size of the elephant ball there, that is a piece of dung, and so it's not very large in the grand scheme of things, but yet that cub is almost the same size as it. So they are still tiny. Oh, look at that. Tell you what, you don't want to be a tree around this lot. They are a group of lumberjacks. They have chewed and bitten most of those leaves off that tree. We've had branches being broken off, and now we're fighting with each other. This is quite a handful going on here. You can see Mom just watches with that attitude of, well, there's not much I can do about this. I'm just going to have to sit and wait it out, and hopefully they'll grow out of this phase fairly quickly. Well, I'm sorry to say, Mom, that this is not going to happen. They will be like this for a while. So Doodles has made an observation that as a mom she would have closed up shop a while ago, especially with those sharp little teeth, and I, being a man, can't really offer too much comment on that. I haven't had children, and so I wouldn't know, but in my little bit of time that I've spent with kids and with children of other parents, I would imagine that would be the case. I've seen quite a few moms getting quite frustrated with their little offsprings, and I would imagine it would be the case, yes. Can you imagine those little teeth sinking into you all over the place, not to mention the sharp little claws, which I'm sure these little babies have no control over at this stage. They are just using everything and anything they want. Every time I see them on a little ball of elephant dung, all claws are out, and so I'm sure Mom gets it every now and then in the neck and on the back, and ears are being bitten, whiskers are being pulled. So yes, I think it's a very difficult job to be a mother. You can imagine it's probably no wonder why they end up going out in the afternoons or evenings, should I say, and going hunting. It's probably more a bit of a break than anything else. But yes, to all those moms out there, even the ones from us and people, great job, and keep up the good work. It's a tireless job, I know. If you were anything like I was as a kid, I'm pretty sure you have your hands full. So keep up the good work, and hopefully your little ones will not end up biting you like these ones do. But this is just the most amazing sighting. Look at them, they are just playing, and there is rubbing, there is biting, there is rolling. It's just all happening in the little ball of cubs that is there. And to answer the earlier question, as it currently stands, I can see all 8 of the cubs. So they are all here, all 8 of them. There's 7 in the big ball there, and 1 to the right that is about to come into frame, and there it comes. It is joined up with everybody else, so all 8 are accounted for, which is great news. While these hooligans carry on with their shenanigans and playing and bouncing around and biting and carrying on, we're going to go back to James and see what he's been up to for the last little bit.
We're sitting here with a hippopotamus, everybody, in Red Dam. We were last here, of course, well, you were last here not too long ago with the elephants. They moved off into the woodland, and there is the hippopotamus. He's extremely camera shy, isn't he, Brian?
Yes.
Yes, look, he's listening, but he doesn't want to show you his eyes and his nose. He's a little bit like a small child who thinks that if he can't see you, you can't see him. Oh, there we are. Hello. He's got a bit of whiskery nature around his nose. And look at his nostrils there, they point directly upwards. That's a really clever thing to do if you happen to be aquatic. Much like, of course, the nostril on a whale on the back of the head. Hello Melanie, good question from you about elephants and hippo and how they interact with each other, and you say recently you've seen some aggression at the Djuma Dam from some of the elephants towards hippo that come down there, and do they ever fight, and how common is aggression between them? or how vulnerable are the hippo during the drought season? The answer is they don't fight. Hippo will not try and fight with an elephant. An elephant is too big and it really wouldn't stand a chance. But elephants don't like things taking water when they want to drink. I've seen elephants chase off buffalo and kudu and nyala from a waterhole. They don't like to share particularly, and if there's a hippo lying in the water soiling it with his dung, they're going to be that much more upset by his presence. So that's why you've seen that aggression. But you're absolutely correct that as they go into the drought season, absolutely a hippo is going to be very, very vulnerable, because of course there is so little water around that pieces of water like this, which are really sort of suboptimal habitat, are going to be filled with young bulls like this who are trying to find a way in the world, and they've been tossed out of the territories in the major perennial rivers, and they do become much more vulnerable. And certainly there are parts of the Kruger where there aren't dams like this that hippo have actually started to die as a result of this drought. That's okay. Well, it's not okay if you're a hippo, I suppose. It's very unpleasant, but it is, from a big picture ecological point of view, it's not a bad thing. Ooh, a big wind coming up now from the northwest. Yirra. Fine, we may be blown clean off this damn wall. Good heavens.
Heavens indeed.
I wonder if it is just a brief squall. Seems to be.
Oh, it's gone now.
Phew. We survived. It's very brave of us. Okay, let's carry on. While we're being brave, let's just ride our luck. I haven't had any other updates on Arathusa, so we're just going to do a little sort of lurk down the eastern fringes of Arathusa, sorry, and then we'll head back towards Djuma. My Mr. Hippopotamus, may you have a wonderful springtime. Good, as you were. Oh, and while you were gone, sorry Brian, I'm going to ask you to stick the camera back into this knobthorn tree. You'll notice that it's not only honey or sort of creamed honey coloured flowers that there are there. There are bright green beautiful leaves, the first leaves of the new season. And if I were a giraffe, I would be standing under this tree. Well, I'd have to be an enormous giraffe, I suppose. If I was a giraffe as tall as Brian, I'd be standing under this tree trying to get at those new shoots.
Delicious.
Lovely. On we go. Sorry, Heidi, I missed your communication there. Can we go with that again, please, Weesey? Oh, Heidi, you want to know if there are already spring flowers? There's a chin spot bacchus up there, in amongst the spring flowers.
I don't see it.
It is difficult to see. It's on the far there. You got him there. I think he's a little... Have you got him? I think he's up from there, Brian. Heidi, these are the first flowers. They're in the knobthorn tree. You can see them there. And there he is, down a bit. He's right on the edge. That's him. That's the male chin spot bacchus. And he don't have no chin spot. Only the female's got the chin spot. Very nice, and you can hear, if you listen carefully, to him calling. It's a bit of an alarm call, which is quite interesting. I wonder if Sindali is not around here. So Heidi, those are the first spring flowers, and the only ones that I've seen so far. Well, that's not actually true. There were some in the guarri bushes, the Natal guarri bushes flushed at the beginning of August. Very subtle, though, they were. But that noise that they're making is a slight alarm call. That sort of chip 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 chip. Alright, we're going to continue down exploring here in Arathusa. I haven't been here for a while. Let's go back to Tristen and the Nkuhuma Pride.
Welcome back, guys. So while we were sitting here watching these little cubs, out of the corner of our eye popped out this little chap. Now this is a little striped skink, and it is on a fallen over tree here, and it is risking its life at this stage. I don't think I would want to be a little lizard with 8 playful lions around. Now we've lost visual of it now. It's gone behind the tree, but we'll keep an eye out on it. It's been scuttling around in the fallen over tree over here, and luckily for it, none of the cubs have really noticed. They've been too busy playing, like they were when you guys left us. But what I was hoping was that it would make a little bit of a noise, which might attract the attention of these 8 mischievous cubs, and that would have been quite a game to try and fish a lizard out of all of these little bits of broken bark and trees. But as it stands, the lizard is safe, and so lizard 1, lions none at this stage. Oh, lots of grooming going on now, lots of bonding, biting. Isn't that just beautiful? That is the most amazing sighting. I've got the one that's got its arms around the other one. Look at that, there's their paw and the head. There's been one that is being attacked from all sides at this stage. It's got its feet on it, it's being licked by 2 others. Oh, hello. Payback time. Isn't that just the most sweetest thing you've seen? Amazing. So Scott would like to know if skink is another word for a lizard. No, well it is, I suppose, it is a lizard, but it is a species of lizard. So its name is a skink, it's part of the reptile family, but yes, we do not refer to it as a lizard, but a skink. And they are fairly common here in Africa. We find them all over the place, and in environments like this where there's lots of fallen over trees that the elephants have pushed over provide the perfect place for a lizard to hide. You know, as the bark separates from the tree, little nooks and crannies develop, and so this little lizard can hide away in those little crooks and little barky sections, as well as find little insects inside there. So it is the perfect place for a lizard, or in this case a skink. I'm sure he's still scuttling around there somewhere. I haven't seen him again, but somewhere in there we'll find it. Oh, finally Mom's getting a chance to rest. Everything's gone a little bit quieter, the cubs aren't squeaking anymore, and so Mom has now decided it's time for a little bit of shut-eye, and a Sunday afternoon nap does look like a fantastic idea, doesn't it? She looks very fast asleep there. Nice comfy pose too. Oh, that didn't last long. Unfortunately, we've been woken up again. So Nicole from Canada has just asked us, she's noticed that on elephants she has 2 mammary glands between her front legs, whereas the cats will have multiple, 4 actually, closer towards the back legs. And she wonders, is that because elephants only have a single offspring at a time, and it's because lions have multiple ones that they are further down? Yes, I would imagine so. That is the case. You know, you can imagine, as you saw just now, there was a absolute sort of jostling for position there amongst them. Now, if there was only 2 teats located between the front legs, it would be very difficult for these little cubs to suckle. And so being lower down towards the abdomen area between the legs and having 4 of them allows them to be able to suckle, and for all of the little ones to get a chance to feed. Obviously there will still be competition, but at the end of the day there will be a chance to feed for all of them. Oh, look at that. We've had a full-on tackle and we're now biting. That is amazing. So Tucker, who's 4 years old, welcome Tucker. I'm so glad that you could join us here in Africa on this live safari. And Tucker says that he doesn't play with his sister like this at all, and that he is enjoying these cubs so much. Well, Tucker, I can tell you that your sister is a very lucky girl. When I was growing up, my brother, who is older than me, constantly would assume his dominance over me, and I was treated with quite a lot of rough behavior. So you are a very, very kind brother to your sister, and I'm sure she'll be very appreciative of it later in life. But yes, these cubs are incredibly enjoyable, aren't they? It's amazing just to sit here and watch them, and they're always up to something. That's the best thing about them, is that they never really settle for too long. There's constantly little games being played, there's biting, there's scratching. Oh, it's getting quite serious there now. There we go, the whole tree is shaking. We've woken up all the adults. And, oh, hello. So these games from time to time do get a bit out of control. It's like any roughhousing games. Is like I was saying, when I was a youngster with my brother, we used to roughhouse a little bit, and it would get out of control from time to time, and somebody inevitably ends up getting hurt. And when that happens, you know, one will generally get up and go away and sulk off in the distance, or go and seek the comfort of mom, and maybe just tell mom a little tale in her ear there of how her naughty sibling has been biting her.